We're very lucky today to have Elinor Litwack with us, who is a partner over there who manages their cash practice. Elinor and I have been working together over the last year. She just finished out her first year of subscribing to DataBlend for her cash practice. And we're very thankful to have her today to answer some questions and offer her perspective on using the tool, whether it's someone who's a prospective buyer or subscriber, or someone who's been using the tool along their journey. So Elinor, thank you so much for making yourself available today.
Happy to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So Elinor, I just have a few questions. And my first question is, how has DataBlend added value to your outsourced accounting practice? We know that your practice is one that tries to find applications that play well together. So one, at a high view, someone would probably say, well, an integration tool like DataBlend probably wouldn't add any value. Can you share a little bit about where we have been able to add value?
Yeah, sure. I think over the last 5 to 10 years, we've made so much progress with automation and having our tools integrated and having a dedicated tech stack. But one thing we found is that even the tools that do have native integrations, primarily with Intact and QuickBooks, it's not completely built the way that we need it to be built. Like with Intact in particular, there's a lot of different dimensions that we use. We have user-defined fields and different sets of books for our clients. And so sometimes those key systems that we've chosen or that the client has come in with, although they say they integrate, they don't to the fullest extent. So the nice thing about DataBlend is that it kind of fills in that gap. So either we use it completely to build the bridge between those two tools, or we could use it to build the bridge, but even give it like another set of rules. For example, let's say the fields are in one system, but then there's another set of rules like in Excel, like if employees are mapped to a certain department, DataBlend is able to mishmash all of it together and give us what we need to go into the accounting system, allowing us to automate and save. Sometimes it's a little bit of time, sometimes it's a big chunk of time where we could just have things entered in the click of a few buttons. So that's been amazing, and that's what we've experienced over the past year since we signed on.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. So as we've just mentioned a couple of times, you've been using DataBlend for over a year. What have you learned about DataBlend that you think other cash practices need to understand about the tool?
I think when we first started, like we came to you with the use cases that we needed. At the time, it was Stripe. We had a client that had tons of Stripe activity, and then we noticed, hey, we have a bunch of these. And the Stripe to Intact integration was not really there. And so our team was sitting there entering it with spreadsheets and using imports and mapping with VLOOKUPs. So we came to you for that. What I wish that we had done sooner was just look at more use cases. So some of them are really like right in front of our face and we don't even know that we can automate them. You just think like, oh, you've been doing this and it doesn't really click. So working closely with you, Erik, has given us those aha moments like, oh yeah, DataBlend can also connect payroll to Intact or a billing system or anything else that's out there. So that's kind of like what we're working on now a year later, is just what are those other use cases and how do we like plug them into most of our client engagements.
Excellent, excellent. And thank you for sharing that, because one of my favorite parts about your story is the GRF story, is that halfway through there, you came to me with Zoho and asked if we integrated with Zoho, and it turned out to be a different flavor of connector than one we had already built. But we were able to accommodate you. We were able to build that and make that work for your client. And I think that's important for all prospective or current CAS customers of using, is bring the use case to us and let us see if we can help with you. And I think that's one of my favorite parts. And now we've gotten this great traction with your payroll stuff. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it was a little out of the box, but I saw that you all had a little bit of fun building out the special integration. But yeah, I was appreciative of your flexibility there. Even another system that you've never built an integration to, and you were able to do it, and now it's up and running. So thank you for
Absolutely.
that.
The other thing that I wanted to add that you just mentioned too is the different use cases. And you said that some of them save you a lot of time and some of you save you a little bit of time. Real quick, can you talk about how flexible it's been to work with me, where you say, hey, Erik, I have this process. Can you give me a quote on what it would be to implement and how much it would be? And the flexibility of whether you do use us for a use case or whether you don't use us for a use case.
So our theory is, even if it saves a little bit of time, that's still time. We are still part of a traditional CPA firm where hours are tracked very closely and we have fixed fee engagements. And so any hour that we could save means that we have additional hours to spend on our clients. And those should be valuable hours like talking to them or analyzing their financial statement. So yeah, even though we have smaller use cases where we ask our like associates, hey, how much time is this going to save you? 15 to 20 minutes a month. We're like, great, let's pay for it. But yeah, it's been really, really flexible working with you. Again, not only for us coming to you and asking for our wish list, but you coming back to us and saying, hey, what about this use case? And we're like, oh yeah, we do have those. And so your responsiveness has been great. I think the only time I had to wait like more than a day was when you had a baby. So that maybe was an exception.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I appreciate your patience, the 2 or 3 days it took me to get back to you. Thank you so much. So just so everyone doesn't think I'm a monster, I have a great support system, and I've had family here supporting me and my wife through that. So
Yeah, I was like, please go take paternal leave, and you did. So
well, I'm dedicated. I'm dedicated. So my next question is, so you've been using this for a year. You're about to go into beyond year one. What is your vision for deploying DataBlend in the future for your practice?
what we want it to be is more like second nature, where either we're starting with a new client and we say, okay, here are the tools they're bringing in, here's what we're going to implement, here's where DataBlend fits in. Or for our current clients, where we have everybody on the engagement team understand that have the ability to build this bridge with our dedicated tech partner, DataBlend, and so they should come to us and say, hey, I need a DataBlend quote. And so not only that it becomes like a habit for us to bring it in, but we also want to be able to self-deploy and be more self-sufficient. So right now we're relying on your team, which has been great to get the implementations up and running. But I understand that you are building out the capability and you have CAS practices that are self-implementing. We're not there yet, and that's what we want in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. We do, for everyone's reference, we do work with over a dozen CAS practices today, and some of them are self-implementing. And one of the things that we find, and I think this is one of the things that you're looking for, is that when you can self-implement, you also can find use cases faster than we can bring them up, right? You know your client's data better than we do, and by being self-sufficient in implementation, you could find new places to use the tool. And that's an important thing, because DataBlend is not a service. We do have a service team here to support you, but more importantly, we're a tool that we want to help you get the most out of. So thank you for bringing that up. All right, so I want to wrap up here because I know everyone's time is valuable. My last question for you is, what advice do you have for CAS practices who are currently using DataBlend and also others who are evaluating the subscription of DataBlend? What advice do you have for them in moving forward?
So one thing for sure is to have like your DataBlend champion, one or two people, depending on the size of your practice, that are like the go-to, not only in understanding the capabilities, but communicating to the rest of your team, and also being the ones to work with the implementation team just to streamline it so that everything is centralized with them when it comes to DataBlend implementations, at least for the start. And the other thing, if you haven't signed on with DataBlend yet, or it's going slowly, is I know how hard it is to choose tech partners. There's so many out there, and we're all bombarded with sales pitches, and we can automate and we can make your life easier. I understand that. DataBlend, if you have the same use cases like we do with needing to bridge the gap between systems that are outside of QuickBooks and Intact, and you're interested in DataBlend, just sign on for one or two initial use cases. Maybe they're like easier ones or ones that are out of the box for data, ones that are in your like suite of things that you already have, just to get it started, see the capabilities, and then show it to the rest of your team. Hey, look what DataBlend did. And then those use cases will sort of build up. And that's what we've done over the past year. So earlier on, we had one main use case. We implemented that with Erik's team. It went really well. We presented to our CAS team, hey, look at our new tech partner and look what it can do. This is what the process looked like before DataBlend, and here's what it looks like after DataBlend. Click, click, and the data's in. So it gets people thinking about what are they doing on their engagements where they could bring in DataBlend. And I won't say it was overnight magic that we had 15 SOWs for you like the next Monday. but at least it got conversations going. And now a year in, we could see, okay, these are picking up, and here's where we're focusing. We have some that we haven't even brought to you yet. We're waiting in line just based on our bandwidth and what we can add on to DataBlend. But that was our journey, and I think it went well, and I would recommend that for others to choose a champion and just start with one or two and see how it goes.
Excellent, excellent. Elinor, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I know as someone who's worked with cash practices, and I've worked with you for over a year, I've worked with cash practices for over 2 years now, and I know that time is hard to come by. So we appreciate your time today. We appreciate your insight, and thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.